Yes. Oh, to Kissinger. Okay. Yeah, of course.
Clinton has a very warm friendship with none other than Lynn Forster de Rothschild. You know Lynn, of the infamous Rothschild banking family. She was introduced to her Rothschild husband by none other than Henry Kissinger at none other than the 1998 Bilderberg Group conference. For real, that is how Lynn became a member of the Rothschild family, a family who has been under scrutiny for centuries for using their banking wealth to control the outcomes of wars and massive global shifts in power. You don't get more establishy than Lynn Rothschild.
The other thing about Wexner is, I'm sure you know this, but this is something I noticed when Jim and I drove through, Ohio. As soon as you cross into Ohio from Kentucky or wherever, you get the first building you see is the Abigail Wexner Center for Women. I thought I was going to die. I was like, you got to be kidding me. And then their buildings dot the whole state. So no matter where you are, you see Wexner this, Wexner that. But then when you go to the bathroom, especially as you get close to Columbus, there's human trafficking signs everywhere, Whitney, everywhere. So when you go to the bathroom in Columbus, on the door it says, do not speak to anyone, do not walk with anyone, go back to your car. I mean, there's like instructions on how to not be trafficked.
Reports of human trafficking in Ohio are on the rise, according to a new report at the Polaris Project, which works to prevent human trafficking.
It's happening all over the country. The state of Ohio, in fact, ranks 4th in the nation.
Right here in the Buckeye State lies an underworld burning with sex and prostitution.
Ohio, actually, in the United States, ranks as high as 4th in terms of the most prevalent use of sexually trafficked people.
In Ohio, we see the average age of entry into sex trafficking to be about 15 years old.
And I'm sorry, I don't believe in coincidences at all. I don't believe in them. And years ago, when I was in hiding, I was listening to this show, and it said, did you know that all human trafficking begins and ends in Columbus, Ohio? Isn't that interesting? And I'm like, what?
I had no idea. In Columbus, Ohio.
What? So human trafficking from the United States, even if they get the kid from Phoenix, before they take him to Mexico, they go to Columbus. What are the chances? I mean, wow. He owns Columbus, yeah. And it's the hub. Now, it's not the number one, LA is the number one center for human trafficking now, but at the time it was Columbus, and it's still Columbus is number 3. And it's not the 3rd biggest city, and it's also the place where they all go. They all go to there before they leave the country or go to wherever they're going. They go to Columbus first. Why? Why do they take everyone to Columbus first? And, I mean, the fact that they watched me like that Abigail, I had to get her permission to go outside. One day, I went outside and without asking first, and a pack of Dobermans came towards the door, like flying. I got inside. I had a Yorkshire Terrier, and they would have eaten me alive. And I'm not afraid of dogs at all, but these dogs are trained to kill. And so I didn't go back outside for like a month.
The victims of former Ohio State University Dr. Richard Strauss are demanding a federal and state investigation into the Wexner family. The letter to the state attorney general and U.S. attorney general claims Les and Abigail Wexner assisted in the cover-up of an assault victim. Now, this is the letter that requests an investigation into the allegations of Maria Farmer. She claims she was sexually assaulted by Jeffrey Epstein in Wexner's home back in 1996. The letter states that Farmer was forced to stay on the property by Wexner's security team. A Wexner family spokesperson said the Wexners had no knowledge of Farmer and never met her. We were also given a statement that reads in part, quote, the Epstein house was not a Wexner guest house, was not on land owned by the Wexners, and was nearly 1/2 mile away from the Wexner home. The letter also brings attention to the fact that Abigail Wexner serves on the Ohio State Board of Trustees. The 5 Strauss victims are asking for the investigation because they said the allegations are terrifying and, quote, bear directly on our own fight for justice. Strauss is accused of sexually abusing at least 300 young men. We reached out to the victims who wrote this letter and to OSU for a statement, but haven't heard back. I also reached out to the Attorney General's office and was told they are reviewing the letter and was given a statement that reads in part, quote, "The office takes all allegations of sexual assault seriously. In Ohio, primary criminal jurisdiction rests with local prosecutors and police agencies. The Attorney General only has authority over such matters when invited in by local authorities."
And who has like a tunnel under their house and the floor raises up? I think Jeffrey just did his bidding for Wexner in whatever way he wanted. I think Jeffrey did whatever Wexner wanted. And he provided Wexner not only with boys, but with girls.
But really quick, you sort of mentioned that you knew that Wexner had some sort of Israel tie and that Ghislaine was working under him. Can you elaborate on that? Do you think he had ties to Israeli intelligence?
I would ask Mr. Dershowitz to also address the topic of Zev Shalev at Narrative, the Israeli-born former CBS News executive producer, and Whitney Webb, who have reported that Jeffrey Epstein was being run by Israeli military intelligence as disclosed by Ari Ben-Menashe, and the allegations in the book Robert Maxwell, Israel Super Spy, that Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, was a KGB and Israeli intelligence agent who worked with the Red Mafia and Mogilevich to set up money laundering instruments around the world. So, Mr. Dershowitz, your background in defending Pollard and then Epstein suggests that you might be an agent of a Russian-Israeli axis. So I'd ask you to address that from a Jewish American patriot of conscience perspective. That's me.
Okay. Epstein working for the Mossad. What intelligence agency would trust Jeffrey Epstein?
Yeah.
Okay. And why do you think that?
So I absolutely do. So, okay, so this is why I think it. So Jeffrey and Ghislaine, they were at the estate. You know, they came like 3 times to visit Wexner while I was there. And they would go meet with him, and then they'd come back. And Ghislaine said they were working on all these Israeli charities.
The leadership is the most precious commodity. I established the Wexner Heritage Foundation because I thought it was terribly important that the lay leaders of the Jewish community be intelligent, educated, informed.